This Nintendo DS Lite is about to look like the baddest, sickest, most coolest DS Lite, and it's going to be one of the most modded up DS Lites as well. I've made a very similar DS to the one that I'm going to be making in this video in the past. However, I have not modded it very much. It had custom power LEDs and a cool custom shell, but other than that, it wasn't really modded. So this one in this video is going to be legitimately, completely, and totally modded. You'll see exactly how as we complete the repairs and the customization of the system. But before we can do anything, we got to get this guy fully disassembled so that we can then customize its shell and mod its motherboard. So yes, we will be shell swapping this DS Lite with a custom shell that I have actually used in the past on this channel. It's my favorite ever. I love it. It looks sick. I can't wait for you guys to see if you haven't seen it already. So there's one issue with this DS, and it has to do with the cartridge reader. It works, it reads games just fine, but you see when I put a game in, it really clicks in not smoothly at all. And then once it is in, it's sticky. So I think something got in this system, like maybe Coke or just some soda or something, and it's making it really sticky. So I will not be using the motherboard of this system, but rather a donor motherboard of a different system. Reason being, I never use motherboards that have any type of liquid damage. That's why I'm going in with a good motherboard that doesn't have any types of issues, and this motherboard is just a drop in basically. Other than the mods that we will mod this guy up with, okay? It's gonna be pretty sick, okay? So let's continue with disassembly of our system. Now, one thing that would be cool to mod the system with, or to upgrade it with, would just be a better battery, but the sad truth about these batteries is these from Nintendo are 1,000 milliamp hours, and you can only fit 1,000 milliamp hours in this size of a cell. So third-party batteries that advertise 1,200, 1,600, 2,000 even sometimes, that's false. They're fake. I don't know why they're even legally allowed to advertise that, because that is just simply not true. And also, all third-party batteries that I've ever seen, that I've ever tested, lasted pretty much only a year before starting to bloat and starting to just start to, what's that word? Like, not disintegrate, not no. Anyways, so now I'm just taking all of our screws out so we can get this guy fully disassembled. And then I will show you fellas what our replacement shell is looking like. It's gonna be pretty cool, okay? So all of these components, except for the board, we will be using, because I don't know what's going on with the cartridge reader. Normally, if it were for a regular DS that like I refurbish and sell on my eBay shop, then I would have opened the cartridge port. There's spaces right here to open it, and then you kind of pry up the metal shield, and then you can get inside of it and see what's going on. Typically, I would do that, but in this scenario, I'm not, because I don't reshell systems that have had, like, motherboard issues, especially cartridge reader port issues, because sometimes it doesn't sit back the way that it did, even if you do everything properly. So that is my reasoning for just going straight for a replacement motherboard that came out of a totally working, good condition system, except it had bad screens, so it was a perfect donor. Some guy commented on my video and was like, I don't know why you take apart good systems for their components just to have more broken DSs. I'm like, this came from a DS with broken screens. Why would I not purpose a broken system to fix another system? And the same was for the system that I used in the video. It didn't have broken screens, but had other issues that made it broken. So of course I'm going to use it for fixing other DSs. So I don't just willy-nilly take apart good part systems. You know, it's a business. I need it to be profitable for me. This is literally my job, for those of you who don't know. DS Lites are my main systems, and this is literally my job. I do this every day in, day out. So let's peel up this. And so for this top screen, I'm going to be using it as is. I'm not going to give it a brand new screen lens or anything, since it's already good. And the black screen lens is what's matching our new replacement shell. So just like that, we have gotten all of our components out. So when I just right then and there got the top screen out of the shell, I wasn't being too careful, and some dust got inside of it because the adhesive separated from the lens and the display itself. So I'm looking really closely at it. We don't want any dust to be inside of this. It's my fault. There's one big dust speck. I'm going to peel it up and then try to get rid of said dust speck. It is attached to the lens. So I'll grab my tweezers. There it is, just like that. Sometimes I can be simple like that, sometimes I can be really tedious, but that wasn't that bad. There's another one, so I will try to get this other one out as well. There we go, that wasn't that bad either. And for this, I'm going to be installing a brand new digitizer. Peel up the top layer. And for this, I'm going to separate the digitizer from the LCD. Slide my spudger right along, free up all the adhesive, and now we can just fire it up, take it off. There are some dust specks. Maybe there were already dust specks in that screen, because I can't imagine I added those. It was sealed pretty tightly still. But, gonna get rid of these dust specks like this, and that looks perfect. So, we'll set that down carefully, and I see one on the corner. There we go. So, we'll peel this, and we'll slap this right on, making it as straight as I can. That looks pretty dang good. That's good. So what I'm going to do first, before I mod the board, I'm going to assemble the system as far as it can be assembled so that we have less parts just hanging around on our desk like our screens. So you guys will now see what the shell is like, and you may recognize it immediately. I loved this shell so much. It was too hard for me to not assemble it with this shell combination. So here it is again. This is going to truly be the most modded up system that I've ever made. Maybe apart from Game Boy macros, but I mean, that's not a DS at that point. That's a Game Boy. Which is, I guess, like the reason of it. You're modding it to be a Game Boy, not a DS anymore. But anyways, we got our inside pieces. We have a square foam pad right here. This one sticks on to this shell piece right here. Try to make it as straight as possible. And then we got 4 rectangular foam pads that all go inside of these little notches right here. One thing about this DS that I have not explained yet, I am going to be using this DS every single day for 100 days. And at the end of it, I will create a 100 days video exploring what my experience was like with this DS, being as modded as it is with the extreme rate shell and just everything to go along with it. So we'll see if it breaks. If a mod makes it unreliable or if it's smooth sailing. Also, at the end of it, I will list it up for sale on my website for one of you to pick up. So you will eventually be able to buy this system on my website, but that will be after the 100 days video in about 3.5 months from now. So let's get our Nintendo cylinder in place. And now let's clean these speakers a little bit since they have a little bit of dust on them. And then this speaker has its ring, but the other one does not, and the other one is still attached to this shell piece. So I will go ahead and grab this ring, and then I want to clean it too because there's just some dust that accumulates around the rings. Put it in place just like that. Clean around the border. But okay, now curl up the ribbon cable, and then once it's all good, push on through here. Just like that, we got it through. And now we will come in with our microphone cable. Clean it off just to get any dust out. You can set it in place. Cable in its tracks. And now we can do our Wi-Fi antenna cable. This one is special. It has a blue wire instead of a black wire. Very, very rarely Wi-Fi antenna cables are blue. So this DS is special. It's probably like 1 in 100. I'm not even kidding. These are really rare. So we'll put that in. We'll flip it down. Make sure the speaker cables are free. And we'll make sure the screen lines up. It does. It's in place perfectly. Looks awesome to me. One of our speaker rings fell out. Get back in place there, buddy, okay? I want to route one cable to the right of the post and one to the left. All right. Now I'm going to clean off the LCD shield just to make it fingerprint free before we seal shut this DS for hopefully eternity. That would be pretty cool. Slap that on. Slide it forward, and this is all ready to go now. So let's just continue assembly. We'll put these cables through this shell piece here, and then we can stand this up and put the LCD through that slit right there. I apologize, my camera is out of focus. Its autofocus is a little wonky, so I typically don't use it. But there we go, we got that dropped right in place, and now our hinge, we'll clean our hinge by just brushing it a little bit, and then put it in place. Now we get our hinge cover, put it on, and we'll make sure the hinge is in the correct position. Alright, that's feeling great. So now we'll get our LED diffuser in. This is Nintendo's LED diffuser. I only ever use Nintendo's because it looks a lot better than Extreme Rates because it has like a frosted matte finish and not straight up glossy like Extreme Rates. Get it cleaned up and then we can drop it right in place here. Then we can close our bottom piece onto the hinge cover, and now we go in with these longer Phillips screws for the hinge. These came from our donor DS. Alright, now we'll make sure the hinge works just by opening it. Solid. It's silent, which is super cool, but you heard how loud it was before. It's really weird. Once you start to get these shells together, sometimes they just make hinges silent. It gives like a high quality feel to me, in my opinion. We'll get the buttons in once we are ready to get the board all together. But for now, we'll set this up and off to the side. Okay, just look how cool this looks though. Like it's not even assembled, it just look how cool it looks, dude. All right, anyways, now we need to modify our board. So I think the first modification we'll do, it's just the power LEDs. I'm going to leave the charging LED orange because it's just a cool color. I could make it a different color, but like light blue, I mean, I could, because that would just straight up be really cool. We'll see how I'm feeling after I mod everything else. This DS is going to be absolutely insane, and it's going to be insanely modded. Like, I don't know how else to say that. It's going to be brutal, okay, guys? Alexa, turn on solder station. Oh, crap. Alexa, turn on Josiah. Alright, so first I will be removing these two LEDs. It's gonna get a little noisy, guys, okay? I apologize in advance.
A few inches.
Alright, there we go. We removed the green and the red LEDs. So now let's solder on our new ones. I need a syringe for my flux. I've just been using like an old pair of tweezers to apply flux. Now I'm going to add some solder. Now let's apply some more heat and set down our new LEDs. Those should be on there perfectly, so I'm going to spray it with some IPA and my brother's toothbrush. Now we'll pop a battery up to the contacts and see, bam, blue LED, and then when I remove the battery, the purple one should flash. Alright, so now just for extra assurance, I'm going to tug on the LEDs, and they are very firm. They don't budge anywhere, so that's perfect. So those LEDs are done for now. Later, I will likely mod the charging LED. Now, let's do something special. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Are you guys picking up what I'm putting down? Let's continue along with our modifications here, guys. My viewers, my beloved viewers, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying this video, feel free to drop a like in microscope 4K. That was me giving a thumbs up. So for this, I get a solder sucker and my soldering iron. And we suck until it falls, okay? It gets pretty crazy, okay? So, like before, we will apply flux. I need a syringe. Alright, so solder sucker, heat up our points, and then bam. I like to give each one a couple of sucks, just to be generous. You never know if they're having a bad day, you know what I'm saying? Once we got a lot of the solder sucked, I'm going to clean with some IPA. I'm going to add an itty-bitty piece of Kapton tape here. Now we're coming in with our hot air gun, and we blow until the solder joints melt. There we go, just like that, we're good. So now I'll come back in with our soldering iron and free up all of the solder on all of these points here. All right, so as we can see, all of these holes are holes. I'm a magician, you guys, okay? And now I will turn off the fume extractor once again. Now it's time for installation of our USB-C charging port. All right, so how I install these is I get the board and the port, and I get a little mini clamp. So I line it up on the board. We have these two bottom holes here. They need to line up with these two bottom holes here. So I do that as best as I can while making the port as straight as I can. And then I try to get my clamp on and it holds it right in place. Our two holes are lined up pretty much perfectly. So we got to drop a little bit of flux in there. Not much, just a touch. I don't want to get any excess that we don't need. And now we got our iron, we got our fume extractor back on. It's gonna get a little noisy here, guys, okay? And we have our solder. Now that should already be good. We can see on this side of the board, it didn't make full contact. We're coming back in with our soldering iron. So now we can see on this side, we got two solder balls. That's perfect, except one is pretty massive. So I'm going to suck. There we go. All right, so now, once again, I'm going to test it. It works great, just with those 2 points soldered. So add some flux, solder it up. One thing I like to do to make sure it gets clamped nicely, 100% straight to the board, is I clamp it like that. And then I go back in to all of the points and make sure that they are all on there good. We have some cleaning up to do, but it's pretty much perfectly flush with the board. Give it a spray right there. This is isopropyl alcohol, 91%. The DS only charges at like the max rate that its original AC adapter does, so it won't fast charge or anything, but it will still work and it won't blow a fuse and it'll be totally good for your DS. And so this should be all good to go. So I put a battery up to the contacts and then I plug it into a port and I wiggle it around just to make sure it's strong and it doesn't go anywhere. And this is absolutely perfect. Now we have two more mods, one of which I solder onto the motherboard. Now this one is a pretty crazy one. This one is also by Faceless Tech, and it gives the DS Lite a much needed upgrade in the way that Nintendo downgraded it. So Nintendo used tactile buttons for their original DS, and then for some reason went to rubber membrane buttons for the DS Lite, and it's not good. I don't approve of it, so we are going to upgrade it to tactile buttons with Faceless Tech's parts and pieces. So this is ABXY, and then this is D-pad. So what this does, it doesn't solder onto the buttons themselves. Like, these would still be functional, except these buttons have test points, and Faceless Tech is smart enough to know what those test points are. So he made these PCBs and we line it up to these test points here. We can see it lines up right there, and you just solder it all in place and then it'll work. Now I have never installed these on a regular DS Lite, so we'll see how this works. All right, we can see TP2 at the very bottom there. It doesn't really line up perfectly, but we're gonna deal with it and we're gonna see how this does. This is, I only have one of these, so I really only have one shot, and once we get it on, it's going to be pretty much impossible to get it off, but I have faith. Once again, gonna add some flux. We only need to do test points 1 through 4, and then 6, because we aren't doing a Game Boy Macro mod, so. Spray it with IPA, get it cleaned off. So now we have A, B, X, and Y. So now we'll basically do the same thing with this one, except we have a ground wire as well to route. It might get a little noisy here, guys, okay? Alright, we got our ground wire all routed and bent, and now we are just going to ground it right here. So hopefully, for the last time, we will turn off our fume extractor, our big noisy thing. Let's clean up this, give it some brushes. All right, let's continue with assembly. We have our 3D printed buttons from Faceless Tech as well. These are what replace the rubber membranes. Maybe I will try with and without the rubber membranes. But first, we gotta see if they even work, okay? Can't get ahead of myself here. We can come back in with our system here, and we will put our buttons in place. Now, our buttons that we had are black buttons to help go along with the shell scheme. Now, this shell and all of these buttons and shell pieces are extreme rate parts. They are very high quality. I love them very much. I have no complaints with them ever. Well, I guess I do have a couple complaints, but they're just very small nitpicks. For example, the top screen lens. The reason why I'm using a Nintendo used scratched black top screen lens and not a brand new one is because Extreme Rates is like a very dark green color. It has green to it. It doesn't make any sense. It's not black whatsoever. So that's one of my complaints. And another complaint is sometimes the L buttons need trimmed. But so right now what I'm doing is I'm going together with Extreme Rates start and select membrane, and then we are going to go in with these 3D printed button pieces. They set down in the middle like that, flat side bottom, and then the cone side facing the tactile button. Same for the D-pad here. I may need to make adjustments if I shake the shell too much while plugging the top screen in, but it seems like I didn't. And now we can go right down with our board and hopefully we are good. They feel all right. They don't feel as good as DSI's. Nice. Okay, so what's causing our top screen to not work is there's a built-in resistor for the D-pad. All right, now we should be good. The system should not turn on. Oh my gosh, it's still making connection. New plan, I'm just gonna take away the resistor. All right, well, that was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Faceless Tech is a genius. He incorporated that mod. See, so now it's not turning on. That's exactly what we want. He incorporated that mod into this whole button thing for Game Boy macros, which is just incredible. So there was one issue with the B button. It seemed like the B button was like kind of constantly getting pressed. We're gonna test that here. The top screen will work again. It was working before, but the backlight was turned off because of that resistor. So here we have the top screen back. So I want to test out the B button. It's working totally fine. So the reason why the B button was doing that before is because of these pieces, it seems. So I'm going to attempt to use rubber membranes instead of those buttons that he had. So we'll see what this does, if anything. This is a learning experience for me because I've never soldered these before. All right, let's see what this is like now with like the rubber membranes. Okay, so it's nice. That's a lot better, but it's really weird having 2 clicks. What I'm gonna try to do, I'm going to, since these are good, and since I have so many Extreme Rate ones, I'm going to take Extreme Rates, and I want to eliminate the click. Stab them out of it. Because they'll never feel the same as DSI's, or the original DS, or the 3DS's, or DSi XL's, unless there's some kind of rubber membrane in these. Alright, we'll see what that does. I did end up ripping them the whole way through. Alright, we'll see what that does. Oh yeah, dude. This works perfectly. It's just my only complaint is X isn't as clicky as A, B, and Y, and then the D-pad isn't as clicky as A, B, X, and Y. But it still works. But like, I think I would still prefer Nintendo's original buttons over this. So A, B, X, Y are a success. The D-pad, it's missing something. It's missing something. So basically, what I did is I cut them open like this, and then I put these 4 things where they go normally, except that what that does is that gives the space that the button needs to click nicely, but there's no more spring-loaded action within these button membranes themselves. Like this one, they don't physically click anymore, so because you don't want to double click with these tactile buttons, you just want the tactile button to click once. So that's exactly what this accomplishes, and I think it works pretty great. Absolutely nothing wrong with Faceless Tech's 3D printed pieces. You can't beat the original rubber membrane feel. As long as it'll work once it's fully assembled, because I still honestly don't know if it will or not. Because when I press the board like that, the button clicks, which usually is not a good sign. Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Those buttons feel incredible, and it's on a DS Lite, so it's like, what? Like, this is a DS Lite? That's crazy. So let's go ahead and finally, after 1 hour, 53 minutes, and 22 seconds of recording, this has taken me 2 hours so far. We'll go in, hopefully get this under the cartridge port without many issues.
12 o'clock midnight.
There it is. Alrighty. Now I'm going to trim the L button like normal on all of my reshells, because the L button just tends to get stuck every single time, no matter what. I trim it along here. And then I sand it off to give it a nice smooth finish. So now that's all trimmed, so we can put the rods in place where they go. Also, I'm going to leave the orange charging LED orange because, one, I've already done so much. It's been 2 hours, so I don't really feel like changing another LED color. 2, orange is already like the coolest, like I'm not even trying to be like, I just don't want to modify it, because orange is legitimately already one of the coolest colors that this shell combo could have, especially going into Halloween. It's orange, the shell is black, and then the inside of the system is blue and purple. Like, come on, like orange just literally goes perfectly with this shell combination, in my opinion. So I'm going to be leaving the charging LED orange. I just feel like it would be redundant to modify it to make it like upgraded green or like light blue or something, because we already have blue, we already have purple, you know? So that is all ready to be assembled, but now we need to get our bottom plate prepped. So for this, take out our GBA slot cover, which we will modify as well. I'm going to clean up this area just a little bit since we have parts and pieces just kind of everywhere. A couple of things to do for this. We got to first get this piece on, plug that in. Now from this packet, I get 5 lime screws and 1 black Y screw. And now from this, I'm going to grab the lower LCD shield and that sticker, peel this film up, and then we apply it. We screw in these 5 screws for the stylus port and then for the bottom LCD shield. All right, so now we get this. We need a battery door screw and screw cover, or screw holder, I guess. So we can get the battery door screw holder in place under here, just like that. And then I use one of these rectangular stickers to hold it in place. That's what Nintendo did from the factory, so that'll never go anywhere. And now we take our volume rocker, put it in there into the down position, and then our power switch, put it in here into the down position. And now this is fully ready to be assembled. So we'll put this here, make sure the volume switch is down, and it is, so we can hold the L button in place because it's spring loaded. If we release it, it'll just spring up. That's what happens when we cut it where we did. And then we can plop this plate on, get our battery door out, and now we can get our 2 Nintendo lime screws into the top here. The silver one right there. All right, so now let's see how the buttons feel. I mean, that feels like actually like incredible. Like that feels amazing. Like I am very impressed with how that feels. I hope that they hold up. The one good thing, if they start to corrode, we'll see it. So hopefully they don't, but and then start to select our extreme rates rubber membrane, so that clicks pretty much as nicely as all of these other buttons do now that they're tactile. So with all of those in place, let's get our Y screws and put them in. One of them fell, but my eyes were locked in on it. We did not lose this screw. Typically when a screw falls, I'm just like, well, let's get another one. So those are all in. Let's make sure they still click. Dude, perfect, dude. You can't hear the D-pad, but you can feel it. It feels fantastic. Let's make sure it still works just the same. All right, that's fantastic. We'll test the R button, even though I tested before. I know it works just fine. We'll get these screws in. Yeah, R works totally well. Okay. All right, we got those in place. Let's get all of these rubber pads up here in place. All right, so now take our black bottom screen border off of our donor DS and slap it right on, except we can see it has some Coke or something spilled on this DS for sure. All right, but now that's all clean, so we can get it stuck on here. Dude, this thing is looking awesome, and the buttons are amazing. Like, I am not going to put on the battery door because one particular mod needs it to be open. Maybe you know what it is, maybe you don't. You will shortly. Where's the serial sticker? I need a serial sticker. Here it is. Nice, dude. That's one of my best right there. All right, let's get these blue bottom pads on. I can swap it to purple anytime. I don't know. I'll probably keep them blue the whole time, the whole 100 days, because I just want to see how it holds up as a whole. And now we have our PCB. Got to put in my Retro Revolution PCB in here. And then this is what this brand new Extreme Rate black screw is for. Works perfect for the GBA slot cover. Can put that in. This system is completely done aside from the battery door because we are still working on it. For our final mod, I have to go get something. It's in the other room, guys, okay? All right, guys, I'll be back. It's in the other room. No, I'll be back, guys. I've done it. Okay guys, here, listen, I'm back in my office. I'm almost here. And here we have a totally legitimate copy of Pokemon White 2. We're just gonna put in there real quick. Fire up the system. So now we can continue with modding the system. So we are installing Flash Me on the system, which gets rid of the boot up screen, and it lets you run certain emulators as well for like different types of games, like even, I think like PlayStation 1 even, I don't know. NES, just all these different types of games. So for this, I have foil. Hey guys, how's it going? And we need to bridge it right in here. So I'll stuff the foil in here, and then we're gonna hit XB. So now once this starts, our DS could get bricked if it loses power, but one, the battery, I'm holding the battery in place, and two, it's plugged in, so even if the battery falls out, it will still keep power and stay turned on because it's plugged in. So with our fancy USB-C charging port, all right, that's not gonna let up anytime. Okay. All right, so we'll hit XB, and we will hear ticking sounds once it starts to go. So once it starts to go, it will start to tick. So you can hear it. The progress is going up. So we'll hold this until it reaches 100. Alrighty, so now we can remove the foil, and we're good to turn the system off. So now let's take it out of power. We can finally put our battery door on, and we'll get the battery door screw in place. So now our system is once and for all fully assembled. So now let's take this cartridge out. As we see, we turn it right on. Skips the boot up screen, goes straight into the menu. That is so cool. This DS is just absolutely amazing. So now I can take my no questions asked authentic Pokemon White version 2 copy, put into the system, and so we turn the system on, and because it's been flashed and because this system is set to automatically load game cartridges, it loads immediately into the game, and as we can see, I can play my totally legitimate copy of Pokemon White 2. This DS is perfect. The screens are in amazing shape. It looks insanely cool. It's fully assembled. We have a Retro Revolution PCB. I'm so excited about that. And as we see, we're playing Pokemon White 2. That's fantastic, okay? One final thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put one of these around the system to see if I like using it, to see if it impedes on anything, because sometimes I sell these with my system, so we'll see how it does. Okay, make that as tight as it can be. And then, once again, I'm going to clean the top of the system to make it fingerprint free. All right, so we'll put this on the system like this. Make sure it's on. And here we have our system. Makes it feel beefy. It doesn't close like 100% with the thing on, but it's aftermarket. The shells are aftermarket, so I guess it's expected for it to not fit 100%, but that's still pretty much perfect. So we'll see what this is looking like in 100 days. You guys will get updates along the way, as in I'll just share updates for the single video once it releases. And then once everything is all said and done, I'll sell the system with some brand new accessories. Stay tuned for that, guys. I'm super excited. I'm super hyped. I can't wait to use this thing. It's like my favorite combination color of a DS ever, and these tactile buttons are pretty insanely cool for a DS Lite. Flash Me is super nice for turning it on and off. We got USB-C charging, so I can use my phone charger for the DS, which will be absolutely incredible. And the screens are pretty much mint. We got that one little scratch right there in the top middle, but that's no biggie at all. It's fully functional. It works amazing. The buttons are all amazing. The tactile buttons are crazy. All right, guys, this has been a 3-hour recording so far. I thoroughly enjoyed. I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed too. Please leave a big thumbs up and subscribe for more. It really helps out my channel grow. And stay tuned for the 100 days video in about 3.5 months once I finish filming and editing that video. I'm super excited. Can't wait to see how this holds up. If you would like a custom DS built off of my website, retrorevolution.shop. Thank you guys so much again for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.